This is the Wenning Strength Podcast, brought to you by Wenning Strength and Wenning Strength Media. For printed copies of match training manuals, custom equipment, online coaching and analysis, and information on upcoming seminars, go to wenningstrength.com. For DVDs, digital downloads, and digital copies of all of Matt's manuals, go to wenningstrengthmedia.com.
Fucking Burt Reynolds' is fucking basement.
Coming to you live from the casting couches here at Ludus Magnus in Columbus, Ohio, the Wenning Strength Podcast with Matt Wenning.
What's happening? So today we're going to talk a little bit about opening a gym. So I know a lot of people, their desire is to want to open up their own facility. And I've had my own facility for upwards of 10 years now, and there are a lot of things that I did really well, and there are a lot of things I probably could have done a little bit better, but I think the overall factor is that when I moved here to town and started to get my clientele base built up, I knew that I was going to have my own facility and was going to be able to train at other places because, one, I like to be my own boss. So, you know how
I don't really see you reporting to anybody.
Yeah, I think that was the hardest part growing up, is that I did well in college having professors. I did horrible in high school with teachers and upper level management, so to speak. But I always felt like I was a little bit stressed out, that I always had to answer to like ADs when I was in grad school as a grad student, and even when I went and worked and interviewed at the Cleveland Browns, you could just feel this upward pressure of whatever their direction was at the time. And if it didn't include you or included you, you had all these, you could just feel a vibe there.
Well, it's got to be, and I would think it'd be hard for you too, especially the more you learned and the further you progressed, it would be hard for you to report to somebody that hadn't done shit.
Right. Done shit or had very little knowledge in the area.
Right.
But might want to. It's kind of like talking to the guy that's never bench pressed 200 pounds, and then you're bench pressing 400 and he wants to give you advice.
Yeah, you got to tweak that wrist a little bit.
That's the average people that you work for.
Right.
And I think in general, I'm sure we all have had jobs or have jobs that were just like, son of a bitch. Like, I don't have enough time to explain to you why I need to do it this way, but this is the way I need it done. But when you're in your own facility, you don't have to worry about that, Right. So I never feel like I'm at work when I'm here at the gym, even though I am working, and that's what's made it fun and made it want to keep improving and doing the things that I want to do.
And you said you also wanted to open a gym in some ways primarily for you and for your training, your development.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it started off going, well, hey, if I want a hardcore place that has all the right stuff and people, I want a place with a lot of energy, that's got to be attractive to other people too.
Yeah.
And that's what I noticed, is that my gym is really built for me.
Yeah.
But then what I started realizing, it was built for everybody else too.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people that have come here in the past were tired of the original normal gyms, that they're more worried about having the floor clean than they are the knowledge in there, which is crazy, so.
Well, and it seems like there's, a pretty, like a really big dichotomy in gyms too. When you really want to lift, it's either that big box gym where nobody knows what the hell they're doing and it's all like hammer strength machines and stuff, or it's like the specialized gym that you have to be at a certain level and do it a certain way, and they don't want, or you're not allowed in.
Yeah, what you find is like places like Westside, like if you're not already genetically gifted, there's no way they're going to let you walk in the door.
Yeah.
And which is okay. That makes sense. But there needs to be a place where you have all this knowledge and all this experience that a bone stock beginner can come in and not learn all the bad mistakes. Because what I would have found is if, let's say, Louis would have took me under his tutelage at like 13 when I first started lifting, there would have been a lot of things I wouldn't have had to correct in my early 20s, because I'd already built 5, 8, 10-year base of bad shit that I had to relearn. So, George being in here for that last podcast, awesome. I didn't learn that my triceps were the weak point until I was 20 years old. By the way, already benching 500 pounds. Now I learned my arms are garbage. That was a long transition. But then by the time I was 28, 29, I was hitting 600 raw, because I stopped focusing on my pecs and worked on my triceps. Point is that my facility is a place where people can get stronger from zero to world class.
Well, that's a funny thing, because Rob tried to get me to come in here for almost a year, and I really thought that this was the kind of place where you already had to be strong.
Yeah.
And I didn't come in for a long time because I was I was worried of being embarrassed or not being allowed to come back. And he kept trying to tell me, like, no, it's not that kind of place. We really do have a great mix here of all different levels of performance.
Well, it's like you think about it now. I mean, so this morning I worked up to 405 for some reps on incline. And we had my intern in the same group from Milwaukee work up to 150.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a big difference.
Yeah.
But he's learning stuff at 19 years old that he'll never have to relearn again.
Yeah.
Just by watching us do stuff. But the point is that we have a mixture of everybody.
Yeah, yeah.
And that was what's fun to me is like your knowledge, in my opinion, is absolutely useless if you only get 3 people that are all world class as the only ones you get to. Because there's only going to be a handful of people that can ever do that anyway, due to financial reasons, due to just sheer desire and will.
Yeah.
But there are thousands and thousands and millions of people that need to learn to move better, that need to be stronger just to do a basic job.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's where I realized that my knowledge, it would be selfish for me to only want to work with top guys.
So let's go back and so you talked about how you decided you needed to open up your own place.
Yeah.
So let's start from the very basics. So at that point, you were working at and working out in a different gym. So how did you go about finding a location? How did you go about opening it? What's the process?
This is the one big thing I learned. So I was training. I had left Louie's place and I was training people at Westside. Then I moved to Lexington, which was in Grove City, which is a neighboring city. It's pretty much the same city. It's just like a suburb. Move over there to train people, and all my clients go with me. And the first thing I did when talking to Danny was I said, look, I'm going to eventually open up my own place. It's not going to be a powerlifting gym. It's going to be a gym where I train clients. So he, right up front, he knew that I was there on limited time. I was going to be there for a year or two. So in that year or two, when I was just giving him rent money, helping him pay his gym bills, I started accumulating equipment. So I bought my $2,500 monolift.
Smart.
Then I bought my competition bench. Then I bought this and that and this and that. And then I kept it in storage.
Nice.
And what I did was until I built up enough equipment, right, to fucking get just enough to where I knew I had enough to train, is when I started looking for a facility.
Okay.
So my point is that I knew, because I had moved over from Indiana to Ohio with basically $1,000 in my checking account, which was jack shit. I knew that it was going to take me time to open up my own place. So I set myself out a 2-year map to make sure I had all my equipment in 2 years that I needed. There was stuff I wanted more, but I knew in 2 years I could probably get enough to open what I needed.
All right.
So that was my first step. The second step was I needed to find a facility that the overhead was low. So I needed about 2,500 to 3,000 square feet is what I guesstimated. Needed to be fairly easily accessible to the freeway because I knew that clients were going to want to come to me from all over the city.
Yeah.
So I couldn't be out of access very
like
far.
in the middle of downtown.
Yeah.
Or out nowhere.
Right. So I'm really close to downtown, but I still don't have a parking problem other than when my dickhead neighbor wants to be a fuckhead because he's an asshole. But the point is like parking's usually never an issue down here, but it's close enough to downtown. It's close enough to the freeways for everybody to come in.
Yeah, if you've never been here, this place is easy to get to from pretty much anywhere in town. Right off of 70, right off of 315. It's right south of the stadium for football for OSU. And you can literally just drive down the street and you are downtown.
You could be at COSI or
So for instance, if you come into town for the Arnold or any kind of convention,
it's 3 blocks
downtown,
away.
Yeah, we're real close.
Yeah, it's literally 3 blocks away. It's really close to the new vet center. But
is that going to be open this year, by the way?
I don't know. It looks pretty close, but it looks small. I don't see how it's going to hold the people it held before.
Maybe it's all underground.
Could be. I don't know. It looks pretty gnarly. But so step 1, get all the equipment.
So did you not have to take out a loan to buy equipment? No. That's pretty awesome.
So what I did was every month I saved up enough to buy a piece. Then I'd save up another to buy another piece. But I'm buying stuff used.
Yeah.
So I didn't need, the only thing that really cost me a lot in the beginning was I had to get a really good monolift because I knew I needed that.
Yeah, especially for your lifting.
And I needed a really good competition bench.
Yeah.
So those 2 pieces were about $3,500. Everything else, I was finding off gov deals,
So they're still repossessed by drug dealers and stuff?
Yes, exactly.
Nice.
We did some repossessions.
Repos.
Repos. So the first step, what I did was I knew that I wasn't going to be able to withstand a tall overhead.
Yeah.
Because I was still developing a name in town, and I just didn't have a big social media reach. And in 2009, there really wasn't a big social media reach. There were some websites and shit, and Facebook was around.
Yeah.
But it wasn't a marketing thing like it is now.
It wasn't as easy to market for free, that's for sure. Like
shit, no.
Nowadays, I mean, look at the amount of, I don't know, this is kind of getting off the topic, but look at Tesla. Yeah. Tesla spends apparently $0 a year on advertising. They just had one of the biggest advertisements by shooting a car into space.
Right.
If you guys haven't seen it, the fucking Tesla Model S orbiting the Earth, and it's gotten more hits than anything. So.
That guy's fucking insane.
But that's all because of social media. It's free advertising.
You got free advertising with social media. So I didn't have any of that. All I had was, hey, I've done some really big lifting. I'm a world-class lifter, and I have a master's degree.
Yeah.
So what I did was I first trained people of upscale in town down at Capitol Club, which was part of the Huntington building.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where I met Mary Navarro and a couple judges and a couple big shot lawyers. And that's when my name started to kind of get out that, hey, this guy knows his shit and he has a degree and he talks it and walks it.
Yeah.
So long story short, the next step was, after I had all my equipment in a storage facility, the next step was to get the facility. So then I'm looking around. It took another 6 or 8 months to find just the right place. And I wasn't sure of this place at first.
So what drew you to this location?
Well, one, it was cheaper. So that is another big thing I think people need to realize, is that you have to find a place that has a low overhead.
Yeah.
So right now it costs me, in the winter it's a little bit more expensive with gas bills, but it costs me roughly $1,000 a month to keep my gym open.
That's
which is
impressive.
Shit,
yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So with 2 clients a month, I can keep this gym open.
Awesome. Well, and let's talk about, so I think what probably people opening a gym, a lot of mistakes, and correct me if I'm wrong, they make is, first of all, they buy all the equipment at once. Or maybe they get the location first and then buy the equipment. How are you going to do that without taking out a $60, $70, $80,000 loan?
You're better off getting a storage facility that costs you $50, $100 a month. That's your storage facility. Buy a piece here, buy a piece there, blah, 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 blah. So once you get all your pieces that you feel like you need, then you look for the facility.
And then I think and I've seen this happen, people think they need to buy the, how many square feet do you think we have here?
I would say with the office and the gym, you're probably looking at 3,300.
Which is more than enough.
Plenty.
Yeah. And then I think you'll see people buy those big, like the location. There's a couple of places in Mill Run that have been gyms in and out before, or rotating different gyms there, and they think they got to have 30,000 square feet.
No. And that's the other thing is, so my gym is roughly, let's say, 3,000 square feet. Not big, but you have to have the right shit. Now, if I were to give somebody a word to the wise watching what Danny struggled through at Lexington and what some other gyms that I know of that are just powerlifting-oriented gyms, you're going to struggle if it's a powerlifting gym. This gym has a powerlifting team and powerlifting training, and is for clients.
Yeah.
So if you're going to be hustling people down and looking for that $50 a month from all your members, you're going to struggle.
Yeah.
So here we don't have membership dues. If I don't train you, you don't show up.
Right.
And that keeps the overhead low, because then I don't have my electric and my heat on all day.
Yep.
I have times that I work, and if those fit your times, great. And if they don't, they don't. But the point is like, I will train 15 to 25 clients in 4 hours, and then the gym's closed again. So the point is keep your overhead low by condensing your time, right? And then making sure that you're not really, I would say that it would be very hard for me to have a gym and keep it open if I did it by dues only.
Yeah. Well, and what's that?
Well,
yeah.
Well, then half the real problem was that I didn't want people in my gym that didn't know what they were doing with my equipment.
Yeah.
So, you have a $1,000 squat bar. I don't want a jackass dropping it off his back and bending my bar, and then all of a sudden he just doesn't show up anymore because he knows. He just fucked up my $1,000 bar trying to squat 300.
You come in one day and you find it's back behind like the bathroom or something.
Yeah.
You're trying to hide it.
Yeah, I knew that it took me, and this is no exaggeration, I started working out at about 12 and a half, 13, and it took me till I was 33 to have a grasp on really what I was doing.
Yeah.
20 fucking years of grinding. And in that 20 years, I'll bet you cumulatively, I missed 2 months of training.
Yeah.
Like a day off here, a day off there, a week off after a meet. But the point is that most people are never going to have that type of dedication to learn what they need to know for 20 years straight. So I know that somebody walking in, if they tell me that they know what they're doing and they've been working out for a year, they're full of shit.
Yeah.
Because they're not smarter than me. And if it took me 20 years and being around some of the best ever to get a grasp on what I think works well, then I know that they're...
Yeah. Well, it's like asking what their max is on anything and then just go ahead and half that or subtract about 35%.
Which is giving you an idea, of why I have the gym the way I have it set up. Everybody's clients here. I tell them what to do in a order fashion. That way I know they're going to get better and they're going to be safe doing it.
Yeah.
I would lose my fucking mind if I walked into my gym and I saw 10 people doing 10 different things and it's all wrong. And that would be what it would be if it was
just turn around, walk.
That would be exactly what it would be if it was a 10-person group. You know what I mean? So that's kind of what's going on with that. So I think the first step we have to realize is get all your equipment first. Mm-hmm. Don't have that stall point of when you're not, when your equipment is you buy a facility, you're paying $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 a month in rent, and you don't even have any equipment in there yet. It's kind of no-brainer, but I think it's where a lot of people make mistakes.
Well, and real quick, we're talking about equipment. Has there been anything that you purchased that you ended up after the fact you realized you didn't need or you just didn't use as much?
No, but I think I was lucky because I already had a really good idea of what I wanted by the time this is 28, 29 years old. So I'd already been working out really, really hard and I knew what I needed.
Yeah.
So I didn't waste time, money, or energy on stupid shit. But I would say, I bought a cable crossover machine that didn't have strong enough stacks on it.
Okay.
It only went up to 100.
Yeah.
And I was like, that'll do for now, but I knew I needed a new one eventually. So there were certain things I bought just to get me in place. So I don't feel like you should buy anything new.
Right.
You should have everything used and chipped and scratched and fucked up.
Well, and if it's built well enough,
doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
No, I mean, you've seen some of the stuff I have in here. It's totally used, and I just have it sandblasted and repowder coated, and it looks brand new.
Yeah.
So it cost me $100 to get it repowder coated, where it cost me $3,000 to get something new.
Yeah.
So if you're handy and you have a lot of time and not a lot of money, do all that work yourself. Sand it down, send it to a powder coater, and have it paint it, reassemble it.
Yep.
But I guess where I get frustrated is everybody gets on people for stealing people's shit and doing this. What people have to realize is there is nothing new in the fitness industry in the last 100 years.
Yeah.
There were books that Paul Kuhn was showing me that were published in the 20s that were showing exercises that people are calling something new today.
Yeah.
So did they fucking copy those?
Right.
The point is the human body's been the same for thousands of years. Working out's not been something new to people, even from the 1800s, like Louis Cyr and all these old strongmen and stuff. There's all kinds of this stuff. So what I find is that you don't need new stuff. You need to have it first, the equipment. Get a cheap storage facility, or if you're lucky enough to have a big garage, just fill it all up and park your car on the fucking street for a while. Yeah. Once you get the equipment, then it's time to find a low overhead facility. Once you find that, you put some elbow grease in it, you make sure it's pretty easily accessible, and then you start selling people on what you know, not what you have. If people know that when they come to train with me, that my experience, my education, and my time under the bar is going to outweigh any other place they can go. And because my overhead's lower, I can charge way less.
Yep.
So at Lifetime, if you were to get a trainer of my stature, which they're not there,
no.
But if they were even half of what I was, you'd be paying $100 a session.
Oh, yeah, easily.
I can get by charging people $50 here because it only costs me $1,000 a month to keep the place open.
And you'd be paying $100 a session for the same workout that he's written for
everyone else.
It's
cookie cutter.
Yeah.
And the reason he's doing that is because he doesn't care, because the places like Lifetime and those other places are going to take so much of a percentage of what they make that it's impossible for them to customize, even if they know how to do so, because it's not financially feasible.
Well, and there's also going to be such a high turnover that he's probably not going to be training that person.
Yep.
2-3 months.
Yep. And then so the next thing is that you get a low overhead facility. Before you get the facility, you want to have at least 6 to 8 months rent back in your account.
Smart.
That's so that if you have a dry spell and you don't have a strong Facebook or Instagram following and you don't have a strong marketing ability, you can withstand a drought. And that's the other thing I see people fuck up with is if I open it, I'm so positive that people will show up.
Yeah.
And they open it and it's fucking crickets.
Yeah.
For a while. So what I think is that everybody's on their own time. And for the type of clientele and things that I built, that took years to build that.
Well, and also think about how much, clientele you got word of mouth and from the people you trained getting other, like Rob got me to come here.
Mm-hmm.
When I came here for a little while, my wife and my mother-in-law came here and worked out and, so.
Well, that's the thing is no matter how strong your Instagram is, no matter how strong your Facebook is, no matter how much you spend on marketing, word of mouth is still the strongest. And to do that in a facility where I moved away from another state, for me to get my following in this area took a long time.
Yeah.
Even with a master's degree, even with world records. So what I find is that people, one, they don't have enough patience. Two, they financially can't be patient.
Right.
And three, they set themselves up to where it has to be insanely busy right off the rip, and that will not be that way.
Yeah. For
almost anyone.
Or it'll be insanely busy right off the rip, and like you said, you'll hit a dry spell.
Mm-hmm.
It's funny because I think it's probably a lot like restaurants.
Yeah.
Like you think about like restaurants that open up and they got a line out the door right off the bat. Yeah. Even if it's really, really good food, eventually that's going to die down.
Mm-hmm.
They're definitely, Columbus, if you haven't been here, is a big food town. I weighed like 120 pounds before I moved here.
Mm-hmm.
And
I was $160.
Yeah. And but there, I don't know how many restaurants I've shown up to. I've literally gone, like the wife and I, hey, let's go out and eat. And we get there and it's just fucking closed.
Uh-huh.
And it's empty. And you're like, wait a second, we came here 2 weeks ago.
Packed.
It was packed. So it's probably a lot like that where, like you said, if you don't have a little bit in savings or you don't have a little bit of a backup, I mean, a lot of landlords are going to shut you down, especially in a town that's busy and if they can rent it back out and you maybe even increase the rent, they'll kick you right out on your ass.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're exactly right. And I mean, I think that's the big issue is you have to be ready for a drought.
Yeah.
So at that time, I had been working a little bit with the military. I had a little bit of money saved back. And so I had probably $5,000 or $6,000 in the back. I had 6 months rent and I already had clients. I just had to bring them 10 minutes more north, which was actually more convenient for them.
Yeah.
So I had the right puzzle set up.
Yeah.
But I think the big thing to take away is do it in sections and make it to where your overhead is low.
Yeah.
Because if I would have started off paying rent on equipment because I wanted all up front, then having too nice a facility.
Oh, yeah.
And then not having the freedom to make the different.
I didn't even think about
time.
that. Yeah. Like having to pay back a loan.
Yeah.
And if you figure, man, I can't even imagine what the monthly payments on like a $80,000 loan.
When I first started the gym, I had probably about $6,000 in equipment.
Yeah. And
I had a lot of nice shit.
Yeah.
Now I probably have $50,000 worth of shit over the last 10 years.
Yeah.
Maybe 60 grand. But if I'd had to take that $60,000 loan and buy all that shit and then have my overhead of the gym, and then I would have got my first gas bill, which I wasn't prepared for. Because your gas bill will be $150 a month in the winter.
No.
That's about $450, $500 a month.
Yeah.
If you're lucky.
Yeah.
And that's only open 4 hours a day.
Because this location, I mean, if you look at it, it's basically like a garage.
Uh-huh. It's like a storage facility.
Yeah.
It's basically
got a big garage door in the front.
Mm-hmm.
You drive in, you could probably park 4 or 5 cars.
Yeah, I'd say you could probably park 4 or 5 pretty decent vans if you parked them right in there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, this was a storage facility for the sign company across the street.
Yeah. That
they would build a sign, a fluorescent sign or a big sign, and they put it in here and wait until the building was ready to put it up.
Yeah.
That's what they used it for. So yeah, it all worked out really, really well. But the point is, it worked out well because I was fucking patient.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where I think, do not get impatient opening something. Make sure you have your overhead as low as possible, and make sure that you adjust yourself for half of the people you think will show up.
Right.
If you do that, you can build from there.
Yeah.
But
and it doesn't have to be, I think also particularly talking about a gym location, much like buying new equipment as you need it or as you grow, your location doesn't have to be your forever location. You can be a starter location.
Yeah.
Like I think this is a perfect spot for us, for what you do, for what we do, because it's not glamorous. There's not wall-to-wall windows, but you don't need that. The focus is on training.
Yep.
So, I think people get so wrapped up in, like, where are we going to put the Monster energy drink counter, and where are we going to put, the windows so everyone can see us work out and stuff. And that's not what you need to focus on.
Yep.
But if you needed more space, like eventually if you need to expand, you can do that, but do that after you have the client base.
You're absolutely right. You have to have the client base first. So whatever you think you're going to have, adjust yourself for half and then build from there, and then make sure that you're focused on the right areas. And those focuses should be consistent learning, making sure that the clients start to realize that there's no other way they're going to get a better trainer than what you have, because you're studying all the time. You're practicing on yourself, right? There's not an exercise I've had a client do that I haven't done,
right?
That I haven't mastered. And that's the thing too, is I think you see a lot of these places open up and they got guys that are into being fit, but they're not actually push their bodies.
Right.
And that shows after a while. People will start to recognize if you're doing something for a business or you're doing something for a passion.
Right.
After a while. You can be a poser for a while, but after a while somebody's going to call your fucking bluff. Well,
or somebody's going to get seriously injured because, like you said, you haven't done the lift yourself.
We do not do safe shit here, but we do it in a safe way.
Right.
And that's the difference.
Yeah.
But that's the difference, because I've been in positions where I'm like, I don't know, So, you got everything done? All right. Good work. So, that's what we're doing. So, you have to set up the gym to have those positions in place. Low overhead, high knowledge, making sure your focus on the gym is proper training, proper, clientele, and build it up from there,
So once somebody has a good location, they haven't gone out, they haven't blown their wad on some ridiculous location they don't need. They're not downtown or in a high rise or some expensive place. Because again, if the focus is on lifting and stuff, you don't need that. Found a good place. They've got some equipment. They've started a clientele base. So what do they do at that point? How do they build their clientele, or how do they keep their clientele happy? They've gotten it open. How do they keep it open?
The way to keep it open is to, like I said, the passion. So like if you're constantly learning and the clients are seeing that you're trying new things with them and they are seeing progression, they're seeing progress, that's what keeps people coming back. If I take a person, like Jennifer, for example, the girl that trains people for weight loss for me now, she's lost 100 pounds, but she did it over 2.5 years, and she only worked out twice a week.
Right.
But she did everything else I told her to do too. The point is that when people see a before and after picture of Jennifer, like, holy shit. It's just like the same with me. Like right now I'm dieting, trying to lean out. My strength's not what it is when I weigh 300. But the point is that I have more people come to me and just want to be in better shape.
Yeah.
If I don't know how to diet and I don't know what they're going through, then who the fuck am I to tell somebody to do something? You know what I mean? So the point is that be somebody that their opinion matters, and I think that's how you keep clients coming, is that I post stuff not to show off. I post stuff not to make people feel weaker. I post stuff to show what you're capable of, even after 25 years of training hard, and you're still learning. Yeah. Like I post like, hey, I'm learning this from Stan. I'm learning this from Poliquin. I'm learning this from Mike O'Hearn. The point is that I think people start to gravitate towards someone that's constantly pushing their own envelope, and then willing to share that with other people.
Oh yeah, I absolutely agree. Yeah,
but I mean, I don't know how many places you can walk into and never see that vibe. You can feel it. You can feel there's no passion there, and that's what I think keeps people staying. It keeps new people wanting to come in as they see that energy. They're just attracted to it.
Well, and I think to tie into that too, I think one of the things that's a strength here is your involvement.
Yeah.
So you don't, like you said, you don't just run this as a business. You are actually here. You're involved with it. It's very rare that somebody's going to be able to walk in and you're not here.
Right.
So I think that's the other thing too, is you can't, if you want to open, maybe that works on the franchise box gyms. You can just be the owner and take hands-off approach or hand it over to
and like
employees.
I said, if you're running a key gym where you're just making people pay a monthly overhead, I don't have to be here.
Yeah.
But because I want personal involvement and everybody getting successful and not taking the wrong directions in their training, then I have a personal responsibility to be here and train those people, and that's why I do what I do.
Right.
Because I don't want people to make the same mistakes I had to make at a local YMCA because nobody was telling me what to do. Nobody was showing me the right stuff, or stay away from this, or add this, or make sure you're focusing on your weaknesses. I mean, fuck, I think that's one of the biggest problems, is that people really think because they have some success that they know what they're doing. I don't know how many people I've ran into people in the past month or two that come in and like, They don't want to train their weaknesses. They don't want to push that because to them going and working out, they want to pat their ego.
Yeah.
They don't want to train the right thing. And I did the same thing when I was a kid. And guess what? It got me up to a certain point. It got me to that 500 bench, which I think most people would be happy with. But I wanted over 6. Mm-hmm. And I knew that training my strengths was not going to get me 600. Training my weaknesses was.
Oh, it's fun to train stuff that feels good.
Yeah.
Like, exactly. I'm really good at this. I'm good at curls. Let's
First
do
thing
some
I
curls.
do to a conventional deadlifter, pull sumo, motherfucker. Let's see where you're at. And they're like, well, I don't fucking do that.
Yeah,
and then they pull like 100 pounds less, but I'm like, those are the muscles you don't know how to use yet. And imagine how much stronger you'd be if you brought your feet back in once you learn how to do it. But
it's funny. Like I'd say about every other person you have that do, like, or almost every person, they get done. Yeah. You see that weird little smile on their face. Like, that feels weird. Like, that's the point. It should feel weird.
Yeah, I mean, the exercise that we did today, I mean, obviously we've done inclines before, but we've never had an incline that only goes that incline.
Yeah, that was,
So it fucked. I mean, I'm actually stronger with that other bench because I'm used to it.
Yeah.
But the point is we're trying to make shit feel weird, and we've never done inclines with our hands out that wide.
No.
Which is a lot more fucking peck. And that's the point is, like, it's always mixing and matching. I want to make something not let me get enough. I did not have a problem working up to 405, which on the flat bench I can do for fucking 20, to go to an incline that I can barely do fucking 3 with.
Right.
Because it's weird. Because my hands are not where I want them to be. But for most people, that'd be, man, fuck that. I do 20 on flat bench and I go to this and I suck. Yeah. I suck at that because I don't train it and I'm not good at it. So I'm going to attack it.
Right.
And that's why I've been better. And that's why I don't get injured. Mm-hmm. You know, and that's why I'm still around 40. So
what are some the other things? So that somebody looking to open a gym or somebody in that process, what are some of the other pitfalls or fuck ups or things that they should have their eye on? Let's say down the road. So now they've got the gym open, they've got their equipment, they got some clientele, they've got some new people coming in, a pretty good rotation. What are some of the other obstacles that they might have to overcome or shit that might happen?
Well, always be prepared for, especially in the Midwest or up in the North, gas bills.
Oh yeah.
Like, when you start having to heat a place, it changes. Like, so it cost me $950 a month to keep this place open in the summer and $1,500 in the winter because of the gas. And 2, I think they're not expanding their knowledge. So when you first got here, you've been in here for a long time.
Yeah.
What, 2011 or 12?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, now I can do your bioprint. I can gouache you. I know way more about injuries.
Yep.
Right? I know how to assess more injuries. I know how to get you stronger around them, and I have the equipment to work around a shoulder problem, a back problem, a neck problem, et cetera, et cetera. So the point is that your gym has to constantly evolve based on what you see. The original point of me building the belt squat was that when my back was hurt or my shoulders didn't feel very good, I wanted a really hard way to squat without hurting any of those areas, or if my lower back was aggravated, which happens. It's weird. Like, my lower back will go from being fine for a year or two to where it gives me, like, it's been in an aggravated state for almost a year now.
Yeah.
It's not that it stops me from doing normal shit. It's just when I reach over, 600 feels like 600 now, where usually I can make 600 feel like 315.
Right.
So, and that, a lot of that's from the injuries I incurred as a child. But the point is that you have to have a gym that starts to morph into what you can utilize with your knowledge. So my point is I know probably 30 to 40% more about the body than the time that you started.
That's pretty impressive.
And that's because I keep learning. So that's where I find that people fuck up is, okay, I got the facility, I got clients rolling in, I know everything now. I don't need to do anything.
Yeah.
The major reason that I go and speak at these big conferences for the NSCA and like up at Swiss and in Toronto is because I want to go listen to other motherfuckers talk.
Yep.
I'm not going up there to toot my own horn. I'm going up there to go listen to other people.
Yeah. And that's the conversations that we have with Matt when he gets back from one of those. Like,
most
of what you talk about is not so much what you talked about at the conference. You'll come back and tell us, like Paul Quinn talked about this, or like if you're with Eddie did this, or
Dr. Ken Kanakin talked about this for chiropractic, or this or that, or went and learned gouache or whatever. But the point is that the learning process can never stop.
Yeah,
you have to stay ahead of the game. And now what I find is I go back to normal like box gyms or like your normal run of the mill gyms. These people aren't even the same fucking planet I'm on.
No.
But it's because I kept learning and kept trying, experimenting. And that's where I think you have to be careful is that, not everybody's going to stay in their prime forever.
Right.
So now I know that what I know here is going to be more important than what I can show. But on the other side of that is I pushed as much as I could show for as long as I could.
Yeah.
Before my body started telling me, hey, you're going to have some big mileage put on you if you keep going, which for some people it's worth. Yeah. But for me, I can't walk into a fire department or I can't have a clientele base and be in a fucking wheelchair or walking in with a cane. Yeah. To me, that shows me that I don't know what I'm doing.
Well, it's funny too, because again, I've been in different gyms and I've seen other people, open gyms and run gyms. And I think they look for, any company is going to look for new revenue streams. They're going to look for ways to increase business or keep business. And I think so often for a lot of gyms, it's, look, now you can buy all your protein powder here. Or now we've got this entire collection of all these energy drinks or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's all well and good, but that's new product, new revenue streams that you have to spend a significant amount of monthly money on, like your overhead on that. And what's better
is, you look back at my room, I do have stuff from ATP Labs from Canada.
Yeah.
Which is amazing shit. But you don't see me like putting it out for all the clients and being like, look, they know that if I do their bioprint or if I tell them, hey, you might be deficient in this and this, and I leave it at that. But the point is that they can order it from me now.
Yeah.
And then, it's a small revenue stream.
Yeah.
But the point is,
but you're also getting it directly from them and not from a middleman.
Right, because they led me as a distributor.
Yeah.
So the point is, are you good enough that a company will let you be a distributor?
Right.
You see, so my point is, I guess, start off working your way to being good enough that other people recognize your passion. ATP recognized that I was one of the better trainers in the Midwest. It was like, hey, we'd like you to be a distributor for us because you know your shit. So the point is but I think a lot of these other places, they started weird spots where they're paying way more for their stuff.
Oh, yeah.
They can't mark it up as much because the companies don't trust them.
Well, and a lot of the stuff that you're creating ongoing business and new revenue streams by learning and by continuing your skill set.
Right.
So that's kind of my point, is that if you're going to spend that money or you're going to spend that time to try to build your business, do it by building yourself up and building your knowledge base.
Right.
And that's going to give you the ability to better help your clients
a
lot more than having a rack of protein bars and a cooler full of energy drinks that they can buy from you for $2.
Yeah, that's the big thing. I think if you walk in a place, the first thing you're going to see when you walk into my gym is you're going to see gua sha tools, my computer to be able to measure your bioprint. In the other corner, you'll see manuals that I've worked many years on.
Yeah. And we have T-shirts.
And we have T-shirts because people want them, but it's not a product place.
No.
It's a place you come in to get the fucking work done, and you can see some of the accomplishments on the wall. But other than that...
And the casting couches.
So, but yeah, I just wanted to have this podcast out so people could figure out how I started and how to avoid pitfalls. Do not start off big. Get all your equipment first so you don't have loans out for that.
Yeah, that's good advice.
Get a small facility. Make sure the facility has got a lot of parking and easily accessible, because those are places people get pissed off, especially in the beginning. If I wanted to put my gym now in a place that was really hard to get to, people would still come.
Yeah.
But you can't just start one in a city, even if you're from there, and have all these other red flags that makes it hard to start up. Because the hardest part is you got to be able to withstand the weather of the business going up and down from year 1 to year about 8. If you're not doing real well by year 8, you're probably just not meant to do it.
Yeah.
I'm not saying year 1, year 2, year 3, year 4. It takes that long.
Yeah, you're going to struggle.
By year 8 or 10, if you're not really starting to make some shit going on, it's probably your fault, not the business's fault. So that's another thing I think to keep in mind too. And you can't really maintain in business. You can either regress or progress.
Yeah.
You can't maintain. So I found that my uncle used to talk to me a lot about that. He owns a really big agricultural business. But he used to talk to me about that. He's like, I didn't want to go incorporated, but he's like, I had to. The business had to grow, so the business is growing here at Wenning Strength.
Absolutely.
The online stuff's getting crazy. All the DVDs that you're making, and that's just to be more accessible to more people. You start to find that in a small facility and at a price range where you want people to be serious, it's going to limit your business. So that's why we need to have those products out.
Yeah. We, the nice thing is, and if you go to wenningstrength.com or wenningstrengthmedia.com, you can take a look at buying some of Matt's manuals, either print editions or digital editions, as well as digital downloads, DVDs. Yeah, we did that because that kind of came about. Matt was doing seminars here in the gym, and I came to you and said,
a lot of that shit was your idea.
Yeah, have you ever recorded one of these? I bet this is something that, you know, if somebody can't fly into Columbus or drive into Columbus, that they'd still want to do. And it really started as more of it wasn't about making money. It was about sharing your knowledge with a wider audience that maybe doesn't have the ability.
That was the first thing, is I realized that there was only going to be a handful of people that could fly here, learn from a whole weekend or a week. The manuals actually started because it was a part of my military contracts that I had to have easy to read manual for the military guys to be able to utilize once I left.
Yeah.
So I had to have a manual put together. So that's how the tactical manual started, and I just built on it and started realizing this is really good knowledge for like fire, police, military in general. Yeah. But then the powerlifting manual was to decide, kind of like what we talked about with the business, is like, how did I get from being an average, probably slightly overweight kid to a world record holder?
Right.
I mean, you know, looking at some guys, you can see like, you know, like I look at Larry Wheels, for example. I'm sure he works really hard, but he's fucking jacked. He's 22.
Yeah.
There's only a handful of 22-year-olds, I don't care what you take, that are ever going to look like that.
Yeah.
He's just a freak.
Yeah.
So the point is that
how can the average person?
Yeah, there's not going to be too many people that are going to be 22 years old and break like Stan Efferding's world record at 275. Yeah. So what you got to find is that middle ground of being able to help other people and have products that are accessible to those people, so they don't feel like they can't reach you.
Yeah.
You know.
The nice thing about having those too is that's actually funded our ability to do stuff like this, to do the podcast, and some other stuff that we have coming up. And
because we've never really had the equipment to be able to do any of this. Yeah. So I think what people's, and I'm trying to tell you guys, is you're supporting a really, you know, business that's really trying to give you guys the best information that we can, and that's really where our stance is on everything.
We appreciate it.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah. So,
so how many? I was going to ask you this because I don't remember. How many the new DVDs do you think we've gotten rid of?
We've sold a couple hundred of them at this point.
Wow,
at least. Yeah,
really
that's with pretty minimum advertising.
We've sold. I've sold upwards of almost 500 manuals.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I don't know how many downloads you've sold on those, but I guarantee it's probably pretty close.
Yeah.
So we're up to like 500 paper manuals and probably close to 500 individual downloads on those manuals. So that's been going really, really well. So we appreciate that.
One thing with those, again, if you do any of the digital downloads, download them to your computer, desktop or laptop first. It says it on the website. I know like the company that we use to provide it's we won't get into it's a little too inside baseball, but it's a process to provide that for you guys. It's not easy. I know sometimes a pop-up says, hey, you can download this to Dropbox or to your phone. Don't fucking download it to your iPad or phone directly.
Yeah.
Download it to computer, then move it over. It'll save you a lot of hassle and a lot of emails too. Yeah. Also, if I don't get back to your email like the day you send it, it's because this is not my full-time job.
Yeah. If you wanted to make it people's full-time job, order about the same amount we've had in the last 2 months and probably the next 3 weeks.
Yeah, that would be
totally
awesome.
Quit his job.
That would be great. So no, I work every day at a daytime job.
Yeah.
I work long hours. I will get back to you. Don't worry. I apologize if I don't get back to you immediately. But no, we appreciate all the business you've given us so far. Share our information with your friends and everything too. You know, it really is for us to be able to provide you with some some great knowledge.
Well, then on my side of it, if you're gonna order the books, make sure you include your full fucking address, because I don't know what zip code you have. It seems like everybody forgets their zip code.
Yeah.
And then the expiration date for your ordering. You know, we need the full credit card information, or we're gonna have a problem with that.
Yeah.
Trying to think of the other things.
Oh, if you're from another country, make sure that you enter all your information in English.
Yeah.
No offense, but it's just USPS won't. I've had a couple things come back because the name or something else was in Korean or whatever. Which I'm happy to ship anything anywhere in the world.
Yeah.
But USPS doesn't want to ship it if it's not all in English. So then I have to go and use Google Translate. It's going to mess up your name.
Yeah.
And all
So
that.
make sure that you're thinking about it getting shipped from a U.S. shipper.
Yeah.
And because we've had quite a few things returned from international shipping for those reasons. But I mean, try to come to the Arnold Classic. We'll have DVDs here at the gym. We will have hopefully plenty of T-shirts. You'll be able to come and try out the belt squat machine. And we still have a few openings left on Friday night to train with the crew. And then Sunday, when Peebles is here to train with the crew in the morning, we're going to have Brian Shaw as a podcast guy. We're going to have Half-Thor as a podcast guy.
Yeah, I can't wait.
We're going to have Mike O'Hearn as a podcast guy, which is helping me with my diet and stuff. And we're going to have
I got to lose about 80 pounds before he gets here. Otherwise, it's going to get awkward.
And then Eddie's giving me shit for not being on the podcast yet, but I told him every time he's at the Arnold, he's too fucking cool for school.
Yeah.
So Eddie, I'm sure Eddie's going to be on the podcast soon. Even if we got to fucking drive to Chicago.
Yeah, a little road trip.
We probably will.
We probably will have to do a road trip. You know what? I'll take a night away from the kids. You know, they'll be fine. So in the meantime, share this with your friends. It's also available in audio form on iTunes and Stitcher now, so that's a big one too. So share those. Give us if you don't mind, give us a 5-star review on iTunes because that helps bump it up so for other people to help find it.
And the more bumps, honestly, that you guys give us for these types of podcasts, it allows me to get cooler guests because when I can show them how popular this is, it wants people to actually be on it.
Yeah.
So the more popular you guys make this stuff, the better we're going to be.
In the meantime, feel free to drop us some questions. You can either do it on the iTunes link. Go ahead and comment underneath. If there's stuff you want us to cover or talk about in the future, we'll take those into consideration. Or comment on Matt's social media posts on Facebook or Instagram. Make sure you're following Matt on Facebook and on Instagram at Real Matt Wenning.
Yep, at Real Matt Wenning on Instagram, and then I have a Matt Wenning community page now since my normal Facebook's full.
Yeah.
But you can get on there and I post the same thing.
Yeah. If you want to follow me on Instagram, you can. It's at Up With Film. It'll be occasionally be a Photoshop of Matt and Eddie Cohen or Michael Hurd. Yeah. But other
that
than
Top Gun picture was fucking awesome.
It came to me like in a dream. Other than that, it's honestly probably not gym related. It's going to be mostly pictures of my kid, but so don't worry about it. But yeah, definitely send us questions, stuff, things you want us to talk about or ask about. We'll try to get those on the podcast too. Other than that, thanks for checking us out.
Yep. See you later.
Thank you once again for joining us here on the Wenning Strength Podcast. Don't forget to check out wenningstrength.com and wenningstrengthmedia.com for all of your training needs. And while you're at it, subscribe to us on iTunes and Stitcher. And if you get a chance, give us a 5-star review. We appreciate it. We'll see you next time on the Wenning Strength Podcast.